Love doesn't leave you walk the road alone. Never leaves alone. This love doesn't care if you don't think you can cut it. Ooh, he'll take you in. He'll lift you up. He'll give you faith. You can lift your head up. You can run real fast. You can feel his joy. This love, this love, this love, this love, this love, this love is an everyday kind of love. Every morning and minute. This love is an everyday kind of love. Every evening and minute. This love will shatter every fear. I don't need to be afraid anymore. All worry, anxiety, oh God, in Jesus' name. There is no change. Oh, there is no change. Love can't break. There is no chain this 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 love can't break. This love is an everyday kind of love. Every moment and minute. This love is an everyday kind of love. But right now we're in it.
We're going to go back into this. We're going to continue to worship, but I just cannot shake the feeling that there's some of us in this room that need a fresh encounter with the love of God. And there's been some of us around the room that I've been talking to and praying with, and Leah's praying with some in the back, and I just can't shake the feeling that there's some of us here that we feel like when we feel good, then the love of God is real. When we feel good about a relationship with God, then it's okay. But some of us need to encounter the real love of God. That this is an everyday. I've never heard this song before. This is messing me up. But this is an everyday kind of love. Whether you feel it or not, God's in love with you. Whether you performed well today in your Christianity or not, God's in love with you. Whether you're in a good place with your parents or not, God is obsessed with you. And I believe there's pockets of those of us around the room that need to encounter the love of God in a fresh way. So I'm going to ask you to do something bold as Evan leads us back into this song. If you need a fresh touch from the love of God, if you need a fresh encounter with the love of God, just come up to the front. And no one's going to pray for you. No one's going to lay hands on you. I'm just going to ask you to come to the front. If you want to get on your knees, get on your knees. But whatever you got to do, and I believe God is going to encounter us right now in worship in a powerful way. Let's just go after God and just lay it all before Him and say, God, I need this. I need a fresh encounter with the love of God. God, right now, I just pray all over this room that you get a touch in a fresh way, with a fresh fire of God, a fresh passion, a fresh love. God, I thank you that we love you because you first loved us. God, I thank you for renewing and awakening of the love of God in our hearts. If you need a fresh encounter, just come and worship. Just come and worship. Sing the words of the song. Just tell God you love Him. He just wants to hear that you love Him. Just tell Him all over this room. Just tell God how much you love Him. And then listen back and He's telling you, I love you.
There relentlessly, not remembering our past, just focused on our future and who He sees He is. Can we give a hand up for the man over here? So lovely, so amazing. And give a hand up for God too. It's great. It's loaded it up for us. All praises to God. There's no shame that your love can't break. There's so much simplicity. Amen. All right. You guys feeling good? You guys feeling good? All right. So I want to leave room for the Spirit to enter, and I think right now we should go into the Word. So if I could please have Ryan come up here. Word, he's prepared a very great word. And if anybody, if you've heard him speak, you know that to be true. So if you could give a hand for Ryan. Woo!
So loud.
Ooh.
One more time. Hey, give it up for Evan.
Woo!
That was loud.
Good.
I have listened to that song, This Love. This Love is like a one of those songs where like the worship singer singing and then he just keeps going and just makes his, like the Holy Spirit leads him and he makes his own song and it became like a song. And I have begged and pleaded and pleaded and pleaded for some worship service to play that song. And tonight's the night that it finally, I was like, yes! Corporate worship, that song we played. And I was so excited. I'm so excited to speak tonight. Really quickly, I just checked my email. I think this is super, super cool. How many of you last time, you remember when I spoke about favor and the favor of God and the favor on Joseph's life, right? I spoke about that, and I spoke about how that God's favor is like unexplainable. It doesn't make sense, like how God moves in your life. And so many of y'all may probably remember I shared that there was an opportunity in my personal life to that God's favor could only provide. That only God could have provided that opportunity. And I kind of shared vaguely about it, but I just want to be let y'all be the very first people that I tell. But my plan was to go to California, right? How many of you know I was going to go to California? I was going to go to BSSM. So excited. God had put so many words in my life to direct me to go there, and I was so happy and excited to pursue ministry there in California, and I was so excited. But this is something I have not told anybody else, and this is something that I kept to myself but just prayed. And so about a year ago, I applied for Bethel, and after I applied, the day after, I said this prayer. I said, God, if you do not want me to go, if you have a different plan, let a church hire me. And I jokingly said, hey, also Jesus, let it be a big church. It's kind of selfish. That was just like for me. I was like, let's be selfish. You know that you can be selfish with God. You can ask what you want. He sees your hearts. He sees your desires. And forever, This Love, that song was my song. Like, this love is an everyday kind of love. And I was singing that like all the time, like thinking about California, thinking about what is going on. And not a month ago, I kind of talked about it, but I have recently, there was our old youth pastor that was here, that was probably my youth pastor throughout my entire high school, and even when I was in middle school. He calls me up, and I'm like, oh gosh, he's calling me. He never calls me. I wonder what's up. So I answer the phone, and he's talking. He's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, what's your life plans? Like, what are you doing? And he kind of knew, but he's just asking. And I was like, oh, sweet, he cares. You know, I'm going to tell him. So I told him, oh, I just applied for Bethel. I'll be going pretty soon. It's about 2 more months, and I'm leaving in 2 months. And he's like, okay, that's cool. He's like, but would you mind changing all of that? He's like, hey, you know, that's cool. Maybe that, change that, and you come and you work for me at this church, Brightmore. In this church, and you'll be an assistant youth pastor. We'll hire you on, and we'll pay for your entire schooling. Like, what? It doesn't make sense. And so I don't say that to be like, oh, wow, look, that's crazy. Look at who God is. I just got the acceptance letter yesterday. And so I will be going to Detroit. I'll be moving to Detroit. There it is, Brightmore Christian Church. That is a super old photo, but that is look how big it is! And
that doesn't matter. Really, that doesn't matter to me. But what matters is that God saw. I said that prayer, and I sat in my garage, and after I got off that phone, I fell to my knees, and I thought, wow, I thought of the scene. You remember Pirates of the Caribbean, like the first Pirates of the Caribbean? And he's like half skeleton, half human, and if he's in the moonlight, he turns into a skeleton. If he's not, And there's one scene where the guy sticks his sword into him, and he's half human, half skeleton, so it goes through him, but then he's able to like pull it out, and it doesn't hurt him, right? And I know it's super weird to think about that, but I felt like as I sat on that garage on my knees, God was reaching into my heart, and he took that small little prayer, and he pulled it out, and he said, look, this is how much I love you. He's like, the smallest details. That I'd be hired, that it'd be a big church. Like, God's like, I care about the details because I love you. And so I just collapsed in that room, and no joke, I promise you, on my phone playing at that time, I don't know why, but it was this love. This love is an everyday kind of love. And I want to challenge you as we move out of that worship time. I think that this is more than just a song. This is more. I want this to be a declaration over y'all's life that this, what God is doing in my life, this is for you too. It's an everyday kind of thing. Yeah. You can walk into each day going, God, I want this to happen, and God will answer that. He will pull it out of your heart. He will pull it out of the desires of your heart. It may not look like a big stage. It may not look like moving all the way to Detroit, but it may look like saving your best friend. It may look like your family coming to Christ. It may look like you gearing up and getting ready for school to come. Oh, I know, school. But you're getting ready and you're gearing your life, and that the fuel to all of that, the fuel to changing and moving and making a true impact in this world isn't man, a super cool opportunity, moving to Detroit, moving to California. No, it's investing and declaring his love every day. And saying, God, I want your love every day. Every moment I'm in. Because once that happens, you move in God's anointing and his love. His favor follows you, and crazy, stupid things happen. It doesn't make sense. So, that was free. That was just off the hook. But first, I want to do this before we start. Okay, so, y'all see this shirt, Favor? You like that? Yeah. Cool? It's cool? Okay. All right, okay, so, I have one here. Okay, but look, I want to play a game. So, I love clothes, dude. Like, I love clothes. Let me open up this game, okay? So I have a game. I want to give this shirt away, okay? I want to give this shirt. This is the first Favor stuff that I've ever made. It's super wrinkly. I know. Don't judge me, okay? Do not judge me. All right, look. Okay. But this is the first one I've ever started making. I've given some out. I've sold some. But I wanted to give one to y'all, and I wanted to do it in a fun way though. So who here is like a size medium in men's? Just raise your hand. Okay. Keep your hand up. Okay. All right. And who here is like, boy, I love fashion, boy. Like, keep your hand up. Okay. All right, okay. So I need two people. I need a girl and a guy. Aaron, can I get Aaron up here? And I can't see anybody else here. Who's? Yes. What's your name? Yeah, Alexis, come up here. Okay. All right. So we're gonna do a little fashion quiz, okay? A little fashion quiz, all right? So I'm going to go back and forth. Whoever gets the most right, you get the shirt, all right, okay? So it's going to be simple. All right, here we go. So these are some things I looked up literally 4 minutes before service. All right, here we go. Aaron, you be the... No, ladies first. It wasn't... This is true or false question. It was English law that men had to wear hats on Sunday. True or is that false? That's correct. Point one to Alexis. All right, Aaron, this is your turn. 3,000 women died from what catching on fire? This was in the 1860s. What part of their clothing, gotta be specific, caught on fire and killed 3,000 women? Holy moly! Their shirt, okay, more specifically, like what part of their shirt? The shirts of their sleeves. That is wrong. I'm so sorry. It was their skirts. Their skirts caught on fire. So the story is, they had these big, bushy dresses, right? You know, they were like, the ones in like the royal movies? And they were round campfires, and they were made out of like what they figured out, it was made, the way they were making them was too flammable. So the reason was that they would go and light a match to see, like that was their light, and they would catch themselves on fire. And not only kill themselves, but burn down their like entire house. All for a skirt! Like, holy moly! Okay. So, alright, Alexis. When did department stores for you youngsters are clothing stores, department stores first come out? Okay, it's multiple choice. 1800s, 1900s, 1950, or 2010? I'm sorry, that's going to be 1800s. The first department store was like twice the size of this church, but it only sold one thing, and it was hats. Okay, alright, this is yours. Alright, so boat shoes were inspired by what animal? A cat? Multiple choice. This isn't one animal. Cat, dog, a gator, or a frog. This one's hard. I give you the hard ones. Third. Cat, dog, gator, or frog. I didn't label them. I don't know what C is. Cat, dog, gator, or frog? Cat. That is incorrect. It's a dog. Sorry, Aaron. Alright, what color represents royalty? Red, yellow, purple, or blue? Red, purple, blue, or red? That is correct. Alright, Aaron, you gotta pick it up. Here we go. Pick it up, Aaron. The longest wedding train. So, like, you know, the little skirt that comes off the dress, you know, like the wedding train. I don't know why it's called a train. The longest train was how long? And I'm in the multiple choice. 3 miles long, 2 football fields, or 600 feet. That is correct! Yeah! Alright, okay.
3 miles?
By Iceland legend, what animal will eat you if you don't get clothes for Christmas? So, if you don't receive socks or clothes, this animal will come eat you. Is it the frost giant, the Yule cat, evil Santa, Ol Gator, or Taylor Swift? It is frost giant, Yule cat. That is incorrect. Sorry. It was Yule cat. I don't have a picture of it, but it was a giant cat and it had like horns. Super weird. Okay, last one. Okay, this is the tiebreaker. If you get this, you're tiebreaker. You tie. Okay. What came first, overalls or the bow tie? Correct! Okay, I don't have another question. So this is a predicament. One last question, so I'm just gonna make this up out of my head, and we'll do y'all come in the middle and I'll put my hand out. Okay, here we go. First one to slap it to answer the question, hands behind your back. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Shut your mouth. Alright, here we go. Alright, this is going to be a personal question. This is what Kyle. Multiple choice. What shoe did Kyle Gilliam, my brother, the guy that announced me, what was his favorite shoe as a kid? Don't stop yet. Okay. Flip-flop, Crocs, Converse, or Nike tennis shoes?
Crocs.
Okay. Answer? Tennis shoes? Okay. Both of you are wrong. It was flip-flops. Okay, so no. Okay, one more. Okay, now Ryan's favorite shoe. Nike shoes, flip-flops, Crocs, or Converse. Oh! True! So sorry, Alexis. Aaron, there you go, buddy. Enjoy it. Great job. Next time I will have more questions. That was awkward. Okay. Alrighty, so tonight I want to talk about the first dancer. That's the title that I've given this sermon, The First Dancer, okay? That picture is taken, so this was like the first swing dancing. Like, this was the first photographed dancing of the first dancer was swing dancing. And that guy is actually about to like throw her. And I thought that was so cool because like the first dance or whatever. So let's jump into this, but I'm going to pray right before we start. So if everybody could, close your eyes and bow your head in reverence of Jesus. Here we go. So Jesus, we thank you so much. Lord Jesus, I just hand this service over to you, God. Lord, that I cannot do this. What Brian wants to say is nothing. What you want to say is everything. So Lord Jesus, we just ask you to take over the service and this glorify you. In your glorious name. Amen. So every dance, there is the first dancer, right? There's the first person that braves the storm, right? Like you're sitting at a dance, maybe prom. Okay, some of y'all ain't a prom yet, but a prom or a wedding, you know, like the dance floor, or maybe you've seen and watched the movies. There's like the dance, right? And everybody's sitting on the side and they're waiting for like their date or something. Like, is he gonna ask me or not? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And you know, that kind of thing, right? And they're waiting, expect. Like sometimes the first dancer is just like that one guy that gets out there and he's just like. He's the first guy there, and it's like, well, it's awkward. Somebody get out there and help him, you know? Like he just kind of peer pressures everybody into it, right? Or you have like the first dancer where it's like the two first couples, right? And they go out and they're like all in love, and they're like holding hips. This way, everybody else has to come out and be like, okay, this is awkward. Like I guess I have to dance with my girl because he danced with his girl, and they're like snoodling on the dance floor, and I'm like just standing here, and I want to. You know, he's over there, so I gotta go out there too now. So now there's more people and everybody's snoodling, you know? But there's always the first dancer, right? There's always the first person. And it's funny because I've worked a photo booth for almost my entire career in high school. I worked this photo booth where I would go to weddings and events and all that kind of stuff. And I would always watch and see whoever the first dancer was depicted the rest of the night, right? Like if the first person came out there and they were dancing and getting crunk with it, everybody else was getting danced and getting crunk with it. But if it was like the mom that was there, and she goes out there and she's like, everybody else comes out there and just kind of casual, like, okay, I can't get crunk because mom's right there, you know? That kind of thing, you know? But if it was the slow dancers, then everybody comes out and starts slow dancing, right? Like that, the first dancer depicts what happens. The wedding or prom starts, everyone's waiting, right? The expectation, you can feel it in the room. Everybody's kind of sitting and waiting. And then the DJ has the audacity, right? He has the audacity to turn on the music. So now there's even more expectation, right? He's just in there like, oh gosh, he turned on the songs. And now we have to dance. You know, like, I was okay with just drinking fruit punch and eating little sandwiches cut in little triangles, right? Yeah. But then the DJ had to have the audacity to turn on the music, and now my girlfriend's looking at me and we gotta dance. I don't even know how to dance. All I do is the whip. You know? The expectations from the room, right? And then the girls looking at the guys, and the guys who don't have dates are looking at the girls who don't have dates. You're like, I don't know. The fruit punch is kind of bad. You want to try this, I guess? You know, kind of thing. The first dancer embarks on their journey, right? They're the first ones to go out there to inspire and hopefully break the mold. Like they're like, I'm gonna do this. Most of the time, the first dancer, especially if they're alone, they're like the crazy dude, right? You know. So my prom, I was homeschooled, but I went to 2 proms. One, I went with my best friend. So me and him, obviously not dating, and so we go out and we're like, you know, like this is weird. Nobody's dating. I mean, dancing. Everybody's dating. I guess I don't know. Everybody's out there and then no one's dancing. It's like this awkward, I'm not going to name the school, but it's kind of a weird school, okay? Just putting that out there. You probably already know. I don't know. So it's a bunch of kind of weird kids. Nobody's really dancing. And me and my friend are like, man, let's just do it, bro. You know? And so we go out there and we were the crazy guys, right? But nobody joined us. So we're just out there, 2 dudes. Trying to be funny, like, come on, bro, like, and my other best friend's sitting there going, not gonna happen. You know, and he's sitting on the side, and he has a date. Like, he could have brought his date out there. We don't have dates. So it's like, we don't have, like, the girl power to be like, yeah, come on, girls, you know, like, y'all have the ability to do that. A guy walks up to his friends and goes, hey, dude, like, let's go do this. And they'd be like, no. A girl goes and is like, girls, come on, let's do this. The girls are like, yes! Let's go! And they'd be like, y'all do it in the bathroom too. Like, y'all go in groups. I don't know why or what you do, but I have never invited one of my pals to go to the bathroom with me. Like, hey bro, you want to go to the bathroom? No, that's so weird. Why would I do that? But for some reason, girls, so y'all have this power and ability. So me and my friend are just sitting out there, two dudes, going, come on, bro. And he's going, no, not going to happen. And we're just awkwardly dancing. The rest of the prom, what was it? It was awkward. Oh, so awkward. We had some snoodling in the corner, awkward dancing here, and me and my best friend right in the middle. When I talk about this, though, I imagine what it must be like to be a part of our journey, like this kind of paints the scale of kind of like our relationship with God, right? Like we're sitting there, we're okay, we're happy with the fruit punch and this triangle sandwiches. We're like, God, do not push me into anything uncomfortable. I swear, if you turn on that music, I am not going to dance. But then what does God, being the DJ of our life, right? I imagine him as like the DJ over our life. He sits there and he goes, all right, here we go. And he turns on, Baby Baby by Justin Bieber, And next thing you know, you have to dance. And it's like, man, God has the audacity to say, okay, I know you're happy drinking the fruit punch, and I know you're happy just sitting there with your dude friends, and I know you're happy just eating little craft sandwich singles, but how about we turn on the music? And it calls us out, right? We begin to get uncomfortable. We say, oh man, like, what do I need to do? And in Psalms 149:34, it even says, let them praise his name with dancing. That's right. For the Lord takes delight in his people when he crowns them humbly with victory. So it even says right here that once we begin to dance, once we begin to move in God's presence and we worship God with dance and praise, he begins to crown us with victory. So the beauty of it is in my situation when we were dancing at prom, mine did not lead to a victory, right? Mine led to awkwardly standing there with another dude like whipping and nay-naying the whole time because I don't know how to do anything else, right? But with God, when we say, God, you know what? I will dance with you. I will go on the dance floor. I will do this. He promises us that there's victory in it. So my prom did not promise victory. If anything, it promised defeat. Every single girl in there was laughing at us. Everybody was making fun of us. Everybody was like, they dance and no one else is coming. But with God, the beauty of it is even if the world and society and everyone else is pointing and going, oh, look, he chose to dance. God is crowning us with victory. God is crowning us with success. God is crowning us with favor. And it may not look like it in worldly terms. It may not look like it like to the world. It may not look like we're the poppin' next thing. But in God's eyes and in our hearts, in what really matters, God begins to crown us with victory. God begins to call us out to be the dancers. Life is the dance floor. I also want to talk about this. You have as I work these photo booths, there is a habitat. There is a species of each dance floor, right? There are, at every single wedding I worked, it never failed. There were like the habitat. It was the forest of the dance floor, right? And each creature, the food chain was there, right? And so the first person that you always have are the kids, right? The kids that are at the wedding, they don't really care about anything. They love the music, right? They're at the wedding and they're just like, this. They think like the middle of the dance floor is like their moment to shine, right? So their little kids are in there and they're eating while dancing, so they've got like 13 brownies in one hand, right? And then like fruit punch all down their tuxedo that their mom just bought, right? And they're like, everyone's watching me. Really, no one really is, but their mom. But to them, they're like, I'm in the middle of the dance floor, everyone's watching. And so they get crunk, right? They're in the middle. And they're like throwing chocolate chunks, and it's like, oh my gosh, get away from me, you're gonna stain, And then there's the single sister, right? Like the sister that didn't get married, and so she's up there like, come on, let's all dance. Like she's trying to like scope out for some reason her future husband at her sister's wedding, Like so she's over there like, yes, like come on, kind of thing. The whole time, and she's pulling at every other guy like almost like it's like a tryout, Like, are you single? Good, let's dance. And it's like, okay, not good enough. Next! And then she's on to the next one, right? It's like, how many guys have you danced with tonight? I think that's your brother. Hold on, wait a minute. And then there is the mother-aunt combo, right? Mother and aunt. And they're out there, they're like, man, I paid good money for this wedding. We are going to dance. dance. We are gonna get crunk. We're gonna get funky in here. We're gonna celebrate my baby. In fact, you better not be sitting over there just drinking fruit punch and eating and screaming, get over here, I paid $30,000 for this dance floor and this band, we gonna dance, And so she pulls out Aunt Bertha, and they're over there like, come on. And so they start pulling people out. There's like a guy sitting down, he's like old, he cannot dance, but he's getting pulled by the collar, and he's getting pulled into the dance floor. He's like, I cannot dance, I'm gonna have a heart attack. She's like, no, you're dancing. And she's pulling the kids out, she's pulling out everybody. Then you have the father, right? The father has walked his daughter to the aisle. He don't give a rip no more, right? He's over there like, who cares? He's over there drinking. He's on the side. He may get a little bit. Like I've seen some fathers kind of, like I call it like the dad wave. Just do it. I finally got her married. I'm done now. I'm not doing anything. And then mom's pulling her out again, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna do anything. And so he could be in the middle of the dance floor, but he's still just. Paid for it, I don't have to do anything, You're just out there. Then you have the friends, right? The friends that were like not close enough to be involved in the wedding, but they're still close enough to get invited. So there's like the awkward, like we weren't in the wedding, but we're her best friends. We went to college. Should we dance or should we just eat craft singles? I don't know. And so they kind of create their own little dance party off to the side. And they're over here like, yeah, we knew her in college. And like there's a group over here like, yeah, we went to kindergarten with her, but we weren't in the wedding. And then there's other group over here and they're like, yeah, I don't know who she is. I just came for the fruit punch, And they create their own little like genre of people, right? And then you've got like the grandmother gang, right? For some reason, like when families come together in holy matrimony, the grandmothers form like a gang, right? And so they're all in their whipped out wheelchairs, whatever those are called. And they're off to the side, and I'm no joke, I have seen this. There are grandmas I've seen who cannot walk, but that will not hold them back from dancing. They will scoot that cart into the middle of the dance floor, and it's like a R2D2 dance or something. They like spin that sucker back and forth. And so they're like turning left and right to the beat of the music, and it's like people are getting their ankles run over by grandma. Like, oh! Like 300-pound grandma coming in with a go-kart, like, I'm gonna celebrate my baby. Oh! I did not. Okay, I have preached this sermon at Transformation, and I was like, man, I'm going to preach it the same way again. That was all off the top of the head, bro. That was like, I feel at home here, because that was, okay, all right. Next thing, okay. I paint this picture to communicate to you, like, what I believe God has called us to be the first dancers, right? Like, I told all of this to say, basically, I think that God, in His Word and by examples of other people, I believe that God has called us to be the first dancers, right? He has called us to be Ryan at his prom, right? To be the first one to go out there and be like, let's dance, let's get crunk. And you can say, like, what does that mean? What do you mean by that, Ryan? How can I be the first dancer in life? Well, I believe that a lot of times we sit back on the side benches, right? As Christians especially. We like to sit on the sidelines and let culture and let athletes and superstars and people that are making cool clothes and people that are our presidents, we let them depict what our culture stands for. We let them depict how we're going to dance for the rest of our life, right? If the president or celebrities are doing this, we're going to do this too. If LeBron James is, we're all, If our president is mad and angry, then we're mad and angry. If celebrities are mad and angry at the president, we're mad and angry at the president, right? Like we let other people be the first dancers to the rest of our life, right? But God is calling us. God is calling us to be the people that say, man, I will stand for what is holy and pure. I will be the one that depicts how my life goes. I will be the first dancer to my life. I will go into each and every opportunity. An amazing illustration of this story is Jonah. Now I have a picture of Jonah up here. But the story of Jonah, most of y'all, how many of you know the story of Jonah, right? I love this picture because it's like, this one has teeth, which is super scary. And he's like coming for him and he's like, no. Just so casually and like artistic, but at the same time, it's like, dude, run. Like, right? Can't you like kind of imagine him being that basic girl in a horror movie, like, get up and run! And like, That just spit you out, dude. Get out. He's like looking back at it like, I don't know, maybe I should go back in. What? That's what he looks like to me. I don't know, I just saw that. Okay, that's sidetracked. Right, Jonah, many of you probably know the story of Jonah, right? Jonah eats bitten by a big whale. He's supposed to go to Nineveh. I'm going to read that story to you now, but with a little bit of rhyme in it, okay? So, this is Jonah flees from the Lord. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Anamitite. Oh, we'll just skip that one. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah ran away from the Lord. He was like, Lord, I can't do that. That's scary. I'm out. And so he ran. He headed for Tarshish. I love that word, Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship bound for the port. That sounds like the beginning of a Star Wars movie, right? Yeah. On a journey to Tarshish, he went to Joppa to receive a ship. You know, that's where he's going. After paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from God. Whoa. Then the Lord sent a great wind onto the sea, and such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break up. A storm so violent it threatened to break boards in half. All the sailors were like, yo, bro, what's going on? All the sailors were afraid, and each cried out to his own God. And they threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship. So at this point, they have their goods, they have their items, the things that they are bringing to Tarshish, or they're bringing to Joppa. They have goods, like their money, their livelihood, and they're like, man, we're about to die. We might as well just throw it overboard. So basically, it's like you drive in home from Chick-fil-A, and you got your whole Chick-fil-A meal right there, right? And then suddenly your car starts to shake so bad, you got to ditch the Chick-fil-A. Like, that's basically what's happening. These guys are so afraid that their ship is going to sink. They start saying, bro, get the Chick-fil-A out. Hey! He's like, no, Chick-fil-A. Like, get it out! So they said, the captain went on and said, how can you sleep? Oh, I skipped a part. And they threw the cargo in the sea to land the ship. But Jonah had gone below deck, where he laid down and fell into a deep sleep. It's like storms going on, people are like dying, and he's like, The captain went on to him and said, how can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. He will take notice of us, and he will not perish. And the sailors said to each other, come, let us cast lots to find out who is responsible for the calamity. So at this point now, they're all like pointing fingers. They're like, whose fault is this? Who did not make their bed when we left? Who left the toilet seat up? Because God is really angry. And so they're pointing fingers, right? And they're like, okay, this isn't going to work. We're fighting. This isn't planning out right. Let's cast a lot. This part, so they asked him, tell us who is responsible for making all this trouble for us. What kind of work do you do? Where do you come from? Where's your country? What are your people? And Jonah answered, I am Hebrew, and I worship the Lord of God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land. This terrified them. And they asked, what have you done? They knew he was running away from the Lord because he had already told them so. The sea was getting rougher and rougher, so they asked him, what should we do to make the sea calm down for us? Pick me up and throw me into the sea, he replied, and it will become calm. I know that it's my fault that this great storm has come upon you. Instead, the men did their best to row back to land. So at this point now, he says, here's the solution. Throw me in the water. Guys, I get it. I messed up. I ran from the Lord. Throw me in the water. I'm the solution. And the guys are like, okay, no, let's try to row back. And they try to row back. Do not hold us accountable for killing this innocent man. They cried out to the Lord, please, Lord, do not let us die for taking this man's life. Have you done as you pleased? And then they took Jonah, and they threw him overboard, and the raging sea grew calm. At this, the men greatly feared the Lord, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord, and made vows to him. Now this is Jonah's prayer. Now the Lord provided a huge fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God. He said, in my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From deep in the realm of the dead I called for help, and you listened to my cry. You hurled me into the depths, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled all about me. All your waves and breakers swept over me. I said, I have been banished from your sight, and yet I will look again toward your holy temple. The engulfing waters threatened me. The deep surrounded me. Seaweed was wrapped around my head. To the roots of the mountains I sank down. The earth beneath buried me in forever. But you, Lord my God, brought me life from the pit. When the life was ending, God, you remembered me. I remember you, Lord. To my prayer rose to your holy temple. Those who cling to the worthless idols turn away from God's love. But I will shout of grateful praise, will sacrifice you. What I have vowed to make good, I will say, salvation comes from the Lord. And the Lord commanded the fish to vomit Jonah onto the dry land. Yep. But I just want to focus on a part here. The encounter Jonah had with Jesus, right? So what it says is that the moment Jonah touched the water, the seas calmed, right? The moment Jonah fell out of that boat, the seas began to go completely down. It was completely calm, and the ship just sit there. And the rest of the people on the ship look out, and they see instantly as Jonah sank into the water, their boat was calm, everything was fine, and they gave sacrifice to God. But what Jonah has, his experience is different. He talks here about being pulled down to the very bottom of the sea, to the mountains of the sea. He feels waves and currents washing over him. But yet what the people saw was that when the moment Jonah touched the water, it stilled. But Jonah had an encounter with Jesus, right? He had an awe-striking encounter to where that when he touched the water, something else happened. So that when he was pulled underneath the water, he saw these amazing things. God took him down to the bottom and he pulled him back up and he had an encounter with Jesus. So imagine that. Imagine we are on a boat, right? Imagine we're on a boat, we're sailing out, the storms are calm, we throw somebody out to calm the storms. I don't know why we do that, but let's just imagine. And we throw somebody out, and the moment he touches the water, the storm calms. But then he comes up out of the water and says he has an experience, and we're like, what are you talking about? Nothing happened. You floated on the top, dude. We pulled you right back out. But Jonah has this encounter, and as he's in the belly of the whale, even in the midst of his greatest storm, in the middle of being inside this giant whale, he is able to proclaim and praise the name of God because of the encounter he had. Most of us would look at that as a negative, right? We would be thrown into the belly of the beast. We would be thrown into the midst of the storm, and we would look around and go, God, what are you doing? So I challenge you, maybe in order to look through your storm in your life, you have to encounter Jesus first. And that can sometimes happen in the middle of the storm. Jonah encountered God in the middle of the storm. Before the calm, before the peace, he encountered Jesus. That was what gave him the ability to proclaim his name in the middle of the storm. The beauty in the storm. In the middle of the being inside the whale, he had such an encounter with God, he could praise inside the belly. We have to learn to praise in the midst of the belly. In the midst of your problem, in the midst of your storm. What is your storm? Just take a moment right now and think, man, like, what is the hardest thing you're dealing with in your life today? For me, it's leaving. I am so scared. I am so nervous to leave. I have been homeschooled my entire life. I've been at home all the time. But yet God has called me to move all the way to Detroit, right? And I'm like, holy moly, that's far away. Other side of the country. And that's my storm, right? I know it's God, I know it's good, I know it's great, but I can't help but fear. I can't help but be, man, God, like, all these fears come over me, right? Where my friends going to be? I'm leaving my family, I'm leaving my best friends here, I'm leaving being close to my other distant family. I'm going to be so much farther away, man. I'm going to miss so many opportunities. I'm going to miss watching my brother and my sister grow up. I'm not going to be there every day to hear their little stories and the big stories and the in-between stories. Like, I'm scared. I'm scared about money and how I'm going to provide financially and how I'm going to also preach to another group of people. Will they even like me? Will I even be something that can make an impact in their life? And that's my storm. And I can get caught up in the storm and I can begin to just drown in the storm and say, God, what are you doing? And totally miss the opportunity, right? Then, man, this is a good opportunity to go and preach God's gospel, to go and help an amazing youth group, to go. But I could totally miss that if I let the water, if I let the midst of the belly, if I let the midst of that, if I let the storm surround me. And so I ask you, what is your storm? It could be a person. It could be a situation. It could be going to a certain place. It could be what you're going to do tomorrow. It could be what you're going to do in the next week. But what is your storm? And I challenge you, even if you don't want to, even if you don't feel like it, maybe you take a song like This Love. And even though it may not feel like God's love is around you, it may not feel like, man, God, where are you? I'm in the middle of the belly of the beast. I'm in the middle of the storm. God, what are you doing? In the midst of that, you can still say, God, this love is an everyday kind of love. And you can do that, and you can proclaim Jesus' name. You can worship and praise in the middle of the storm. But if you don't mean it, it's never going to change. It's never going to change that storm. And so I challenge you to chase an encounter with God, right? The reason Jonah had such faith and such amazing ability to worship and praise in the middle of being inside of a whale. And I want to give you an example. Like it's not like VeggieTales, where they're like, like walking around and there's plenty of room and he's just like grabbing stuff up there and eating and stuff like that. Most likely, imagine if I ate a human, like this size, right? Now, this is weird. This is taking a weird turn. It's like, whoa, what's happening? But imagine if I ate somebody, if I just like swallowed somebody whole. You wouldn't have like room to like build an apartment and start a family, right? Jonah was like, I imagine like a Ziploc baggie, like tight inside the belly, and he's eating whatever the fish eats, right? And he's drinking whatever the fish drinks. And it's stanky. He's like basically being digested, so there's stomach stuff and the milk. And only eats fish, so you know it don't smell good. It is a fish, so it don't smell good. He's sitting in the belly of the beast, but yet in the middle of that, as he's curled up inside that thing, probably cold and wet, disgusted and covered in who knows what. He can still yet in the middle of that maybe not raise his hand, but I don't have room. But in the middle of that, he can still come and say, God, I praise you. Because of the encounter he had before it, right? So I challenge you. Maybe your storm hasn't come yet. Maybe you're like, man, I'm good. I'm great. There's something wrong with me right now. Summer has been lit, bro. Maybe you're in that. Maybe you're like, man, I don't have to worry about it. But I challenge you, chase an encounter with God so that when your storm does come, because we're promised that. Life is going to bring storms. Life is going to bring hardships. But I challenge you to find that encounter with God, the one that you can stand on. So when you're in the belly of the beast, when you're in the midst of being Ziploc bagged inside the storm and you cannot get out, you can praise your way out. You can say, Jesus, I praise you. I love you. This love is an everyday kind of love. Every moment I'm in it, even when it doesn't feel like it, every moment I'm in it, God. Your love breaks every chain. The next thing you know, each storm's getting a little bit easier. Each time God is a little bit closer because you're choosing to encounter God. You're choosing to chase after God.
Yeah.
Next thing I want to talk about is Jonah had his dance floor, right? Jonah was the first dancer. Jonah had a calling. God called him out to Nineveh, right? Nineveh was a wicked, wicked city. So in this time and era, Nineveh was basically like the worst place on the planet, right? It was known for being cruel. It was known for slaughtering people in the middle of the streets. It was known for horrific things, and especially the people who tried to change that. And so Jonah knows that. Jonah knows the rumors. Jonah knows all the things that the Nineveh people do. And I promise you, it's more detailed than VeggieTales. In the VeggieTales version, when I was a kid, they like slap people with fishes, right?
Yes.
But just imagine that 100 times worse, and maybe with swords. And they're killing children, and they're murdering people in the lawn, in the middle of the streets, and like Nineveh was so awful, and it literally spread word of how bad it was. And so Jonah hears this, and he says, "God, what are you talking about?" And Jonah was a traveling evangelist, and then God says, "Go to Nineveh," and he goes, "Wait a minute. They're killing people like me there, God. They're slaughtering people like me there, God. Like they hang me up and make fun of me and kill me, God. Whoa. Why Nineveh? God, you know about Nineveh." But God, in Jonah's life, was the DJ, right? He was doing good, right? He was preaching God's gospel, but God turned on the different song, right? And he said, "Come on, Jonah, I have a different plan." And what Jonah decided to do was the opposite, right? He decided to run away. And what God decided to do was be the mother of the dance floor, right? He in that moment, he grabbed him by Jonah's collar, and he pulled him back in and said, here's an encounter with me. And so now Jonah has a choice. He says, okay, do I chase after God? Do I go? And so he learns in the belly of the beast to go after and chase his dance floor. And I'm sure he's still afraid, right? After this, I mean, you're still going to be freaked out. It's like, God, I survived the whale. Do I still have to go to Nineveh? Do I still have to do this? God, I just survived my storm. I just got through one school year. Do I have to go back again? God, I survived this night with my family. Come on, God, like, is there another night? Like, God, I don't know if I can talk to that friend again or be in that relationship again or act like that again, God.